Welcome back to my channel. So today's our new topic is electrolysis. Today we'll be doing B part of electrolysis chapter, in which we'll be covering electrolytic dissociation, ionization and electrochemical series, and some more other examples for that. So let's get started. So basically, what is electrolytic dissociation? So it is a process due to which an ionic compound dissociates in fused or in aqueous solution is called electrolytic dissociation. So for example, we can take sodium chloride. As we know that it is an electrovalent compound or an ionic compound and contains sodium ion and cation and chloride anion. In solid state, it does not conduct electricity as it has no free mobile ions, so it does not conduct. But in aqueous state, when mixed in water, it conducts electricity. In aqueous state, the slightly negatively charged O2 atoms of polar molecules exert a pull on the positively charged sodium atoms. Like this, I will show you. See, the slightly negatively charged sodium ions, a similar pull is exerted by the slightly positively charged hydrogen atoms of the water or negatively charged chloride ions. Thus the ions become free in solution. These free ions conduct electricity. In molten state also we can see that when it as we know that molten means melting. So in this setup, somewhere the heat is provided to it. This high temperature required to melt the solid, that is sodium chloride, weakens the bond. It weakens the bond and the bond between the particles and the ions are set free, so it conducts electricity. Then we have ionization. It is a process by which polar covalent compounds are converted into ions in H2O solution. It is called ionization. So if for an example we can take HCl. So as we know that it contains H plus, delta H plus, and chloride contains delta negative, and this is a bond of covalent compound. So we call it a polar covalent bond. HCl is ionization and NaCl dissociation. This is the difference between for the examples for these of this. Then we have when HCl is added to water, what happens? The slightly negatively charged oxygen atoms exert a pull on the slightly positively charged hydrogen ions present in the molecule of HCl. Thus, H plus combines with the H2O to form hydronium ion and this chloride ion. Then we have a difference also in ionization and dissociation. Ionization is the formation of positively or negatively charged ions from molecules which are not initially in the ionic state, and dissociation is the separation of ions which are already present in an ionic compound. And ionization happens only in polar covalent compounds. Examples are HCl and NH4OH. And this happens in the electrovalent compound like KCl and NaCl. It decomposes to K plus and Cl1, and this compound dissociates into Na plus and chloride anions. Then we have a very important topic, that is electrochemical series. Metal elements lose electrons from the outermost shell of the atoms, forming positive metallic ions. Like we take K, it gains one electron and becomes K. If we take K plus, it gains an electron and becomes potassium atom. If so on, Ca2 plus is an cation, and Zn2 plus, Fe2 plus, Sn2 plus, like so on. Then we have the example, this definition of this based on ease with which atoms of metals lose electron to form positively charged ions. Metals are arranged in a series known as electrochemical series. So the more it is lower in the series, the ease of discharge increases. Like if I take Na plus and Ag plus silver, what will happen? This will discharge easily at cathode, and this will discharge not very easily. It will take some time and with difficulty. And this is the same as with anions. The more it is lower in the electrochemical series, the more ease of discharge increases. Likewise, if I take SO4 2 minus and OH negative, this will discharge easily at anode. And so on if I take Na plus and copper Ca2 plus with anyone. Okay. So basically the thing is that the more it is, the more ease of discharge increases. Then we have some important points about electrochemical series. Here I have mentioned it as EC series. So metals with higher position displaces the one with lower position. As we have seen in the series only, as in Na plus and Ag plus, the more it is, the more lower Ag plus is, it will displace the Na plus. The metal above hydrogen can displace it, but below it cannot. Like copper and silver, you cannot displace it, but sodium, calcium, magnesium, they can. Elements lower in series get displaced easily at cathode, like Ag, copper, lead, they will easily displace at cathode. Metal atoms forming ions easily accept electrons back with great difficulty. This means that more easily if they accept electrons, the greater will be for them to leave that electron. Then we have potential or selective discharge of ions at electrodes. This 4 points makes the definition of it. When two or more ions of the same charge are present in a solution with the same charge, if I take X and Y with the same charge, that is positive, if I have taken, then under identical conditions, electricity is supplied to them, they both are competing for discharge at the same electrode, that is cathode, and one will be preferentially discharged at that. So from this we get to know that these both are fighting for the discharge at cathode, and the one which will get discharged at cathode is known as preferentially discharged electrode. Then we have factors on which selective discharge depends. So first of all, we have relative position of ions in electrochemical series. If all other factors are constant, any ion lower in the electrochemical series get discharged at the relevant electrode. For example, in the electrolysis of copper sulfate solution, I take it and it will displace in Cu2 plus and SO4 2 negative. And being a solution, H2O will also be present here. So H plus OH negative. Then two cations are there competing for the discharge at the same electrode, which are Cu2 plus and H plus, and two anions are fighting for the discharge at the same electrode, that is anode. These are SO4 2 negative and OH negative. So from this, Cu2 plus will discharge at cathode, being lower in the electrochemical series. So this will discharge at cathode from these both. So then at anode, OH negative will discharge at anode in the electrochemical series, being lower, so this will discharge at anode. Then we have relative concentration of ions. If an electrolyte has a much higher concentration of a particular ion, then that ion will be discharged at the relevant electrode in preference to those ions which are lower in the electrochemical series but are present along with. If I take electrolysis of concentrated NaCl solution, what will happen? Being a solution, we will also take H2O. So it will dissociate in Na plus and Cl minus respectively, and H plus OH negative respectively. So at cathode, according to you, this will discharge at cathode and this will discharge at anode. But in this case, as the concentration of the ions is more in NaCl, so Na plus will discharge at cathode and Cl negative will discharge at anode rather than OH negative and H plus respectively. Then we have nature of the electrodes used. So basically there are two types of nature of the electrodes. These are active and inert. So active, which take part in the electrolytic reaction, and inert, which do not take part in the electrolytic reaction. Cu, Ag, nickel, these are the examples of active electrodes, and these are the examples of inert, that is graphite and platinum. So if we take CuSO4, it will discharge at cathode Cu2 plus and SO4 2 negative will discharge at anode. So now we have some examples. That first example we will take electrolysis of molten lead bromide. So this is the setup which I have drawn for the electrolysis of molten lead bromide. So in this, which what I have taken is crucible made of silica. These are the cations and anions of Pb2 plus and Br minus respectively, and these are the anode and cathode of graphite. Why graphite is used? Because this do not take part in reaction as it is inert, and it is not affected by the reactive bromine vapors. Then we have that what we have used in it. So then we have electrolyte we have used here is molten lead bromide. Temperature is about to the ends of the battery. Then ions present are Pb2 plus and Br negative, that is lead ions and bromide ions. Then electrode reactions at the cathode is Pb2 plus minus 2 electrons gives you Pb, and at anode we have 2 Br negative minus 2 electrons gives you bromine vapors, which are by which the graphite is unaffected. Then we have some observations like dark reddish brown fumes of bromine evolve at anode. This is at reaction at anode, and this silvery grey metal lead is formed on cathode. This lead is formed at metal lead is formed at cathode. As I told you earlier also that electrolyte is molten lead bromide and temperature is 380 degrees Celsius, and the electrolytic cell we have used is crucible made of silica, which I have shown you in the diagram also. Then we have the second example as electrolysis of acidified water using platinum electrodes, which is very important. This is a setup for electrolysis of acidified H2O using platinum electrodes. Acidified means that in H2O we have added some acidified. Here we have used H2SO4 being as it is a non-volatile, while dilute nitric acid and hydrochloric acid are volatile acids. So electrodes which we have used here are platinum foil, and ionization of water is water in pure state consists almost entirely of molecules, as it is a polar covalent compound. It only contains molecules. It is a polar covalent compound and can form ions when traces of dilute sulfuric acid is added to it. Then we have ionization of acidified water. You can see here that how the water is ionized here. H2O, H plus plus OH negative, and sulfuric acid is also 2H plus plus SO4 2 negative. So here we have ions which are present here, H plus OH negative and SO4 2 negative. You can see here that both of these are same, fighting for the cathode. So any one of them will discharge at cathode. Then we have particles present are H plus OH negative, SO4 2 negative and H2O. So reaction at cathode is H plus plus 1 electron gives you H, and H plus H will give you water. Hydrogen. Hydrogen atoms combine to form a molecule, then this comes out as hydrogen gas at cathode. This is a reaction at cathode. And reaction at anode is the combination of OH forms water with the liberation of oxygen, which is given off at anode. Then we have ratio of H2 to O2 is 2:1 by volume, which I will be showing you right now. In the electrolysis of acidified water at anode, OH negative loses an electron and becomes neutral OH. I will show you here. OH negative minus 1 electron gives you OH negative, and the combination of OH forms water with the liberation of oxygen. When two OH combines, they form H2O and oxygen. Since 4OH, 2 plus 2 will be 4OH, neutral particles are involved in the equation. So 4 electrons are lost in order to get 4 hydroxide neutral particles. Then we have the reaction as 4OH negative gives us 4OH plus 4 electrons. Thus the formation of one molecule of oxygen at anode releases 4 electrons, and there is no buildup of electrons in any part of the circuit. So what we will get, this shows that the number of molecules of hydrogen is twice that of the oxygen molecules. So according to this and Avogadro's law, molecules can be substituted by volumes. Hence the electrolysis of water gives 2 volumes of H2 and 1 volume of O2. So the overall reaction will be 2H2O plus electrical energy. This is acidified water. Acidified water gives you 2H2, hydrogen with 2 volume and O2 with 1 volume. Now we have the third example as electrolysis of copper sulfate solution using platinum anode and copper or platinum cathode. So this is the setup for electrolysis of copper sulfate solution. So electrolyte used here is saturated solution of copper 2 sulfate prepared in distilled water with a small amount of concentrated sulfuric acid. So here both of the this are made up of platinum anode and platinum cathode. Both the anode and cathode are platinum. Then we have the electrodes, both are platinum. Dissociation of aqueous copper sulfate is CuSO4 is this Cu2 plus SO4 2 negative, and since it is a solution, so we have H2 molecules also, H2O, H plus OH negative. Then we have this reaction at cathode is Cu2 plus 2 electrons give you Cu, and which is deposited at cathode. Then the products at cathode will be pink or reddish. This is an observation for it, which the colors also pink or reddish brown copper is dissociated. Reaction at anode is for the hydroxide, and then products will be oxygen. Then during electrolysis, the oxidation of non-metal ions always takes place at anode, and the reduction of metal or H2 ions always takes place at cathode. So just you need to learn is reduction takes place at cathode and oxidation of non-metals takes place at anode. Then we have electrolysis of aqueous copper sulfate using copper electrodes. This is a setup for it in which we have used copper anode and copper cathode, and this is the copper deposited at this, and this is the copper lost because of this deposition, and this we have taken copper sulfate solution. So copper dissociates to Cu2 plus and SO4 2 negative, and H2 dissociates to H plus OH negative. So now we have used here electrolyte aqueous copper sulfate solution, and electrode here both are copper. Dissociation I have already shown you, both of copper sulfate and H2O. So ions present are Cu2 plus and H plus, SO4 2 negative, OH negative, and the reaction at anode is Cu minus 2 electrons give you Cu2 plus, and SO4 2 negative and OH negative ions migrate to anode, but neither of them are discharged due to nature of the anode. And reaction at cathode is also this Cu2 plus 2 electrons gives you Cu2 plus 2 electrons gives you Cu. Then Then we have the blue color of aqueous copper 2 sulfate solution remains unchanged during its electrolysis due to copper electrodes. Why we have not used, why this H plus and SO4 2 negative do not take part in the electrolytic reaction and are known as spectator ions due to the deposition of Cu2 plus at anode is released or added to the solution by the anode, and hence total number of Cu2 plus ions remain the same. Therefore the blue color does not fade. This is an important reason also. So thank you. With this we have come to an end of this chapter. Thanks for watching.